Tonight, you'll check your phone one more time before bed. Not for any reason, just to see. Nobody texted back. And for a second, something in your chest tightens. That feeling has a name. But the real answer to why you feel it is far stranger than sadness. Loneliness is not an emotion. Not really. It is an alarm. Your brain built it the same way it built thirst, the same way it built pain. Thirst tells you your body is low on water. Pain tells you tissue is being damaged. Loneliness tells you something just as physical. It tells you that you are exposed. 200,000 years ago, being alone did not mean a quiet evening. It meant something closer to a death sentence. A human alone on the savannah had no one to watch the tall grass while they slept, no one to help carry the kill, no one to warn them about the lions circling the riverbed. A solitary human was a vulnerable human. Calories burned faster, wounds healed slower, threats went unnoticed until it was too late. So evolution did what it always does. It built a warning system. The psychologist John Cacioppo spent decades studying this exact mechanism at the University of Chicago. He proposed that loneliness functions like a biological smoke detector, not a mood, a signal. When the brain registers social disconnection, it triggers the same neural circuitry as physical pain. Cacioppo's research found that chronically lonely people show elevated cortisol, the body's primary stress hormone, even when nothing dangerous is actually happening around them. Why would your body do that? Why would it stress you out over silence? Because for nearly all of human history, silence around you meant something had gone wrong. Your tribe was not nearby. Your protection was gone. The alarm was not punishing you. It was trying to move you. Get back to the group. Find your people. Survive. This is where it gets strange. Loneliness does not just feel bad. It changes how your brain perceives the world. Cacioppo's research showed that lonely individuals become hypervigilant to social threat. They start interpreting neutral faces as hostile. A blank expression reads as rejection. A delayed text reads as abandonment. This is not paranoia. It is an ancient defense system, working exactly as designed, just badly calibrated for modern life. Think about that for a moment. Your brain is running software built for a world with maybe 150 people in it. Total. The anthropologist Robin Dunbar calculated that number by studying the size of primate brains relative to their social group sizes. He found a consistent ratio across species. The bigger the brain, the bigger the social group it could track. For humans, that number landed around 150 stable relationships. Dunbar's number, as it's now called, represents the rough ceiling of meaningful social bonds your brain evolved to handle. 150. That's it. That was your entire world for most of human history. Everyone you'd ever meet, ever rely on, ever fear losing. Now think about your phone. Hundreds of contacts, thousands of social media connections, notifications from people you've never even spoken to. Your brain cannot tell the difference between meaningful connection and digital noise. It just knows you are surrounded by signals of people, and yet, somehow, the alarm keeps going off anyway. That's the twist nobody talks about. You can be lonely in a crowd. You can be lonely with a phone full of contacts. Because the alarm was never built to measure how many people are near you. It was built to measure how many people you can actually rely on. How many would notice if you disappeared? How many would come looking? In small ancestral bands, that number was obvious. You knew exactly who would carry you home if you broke a leg. Today, that number is harder to find, buried under hundreds of weak, low-stakes connections that look like community but don't function like it. There's a researcher who took this even further. Julianne Holt-Lundstad, a psychologist at Brigham Young University, ran a massive analysis combining data from over 300,000 participants across dozens of studies. She wanted to know, does loneliness actually shorten your life? The answer was yes. Chronic loneliness was associated with a mortality risk comparable to smoking 15 cigarettes a day, comparable to obesity. The body was treating disconnection as a literal threat to survival, slowly, quietly, over years. Why would isolation kill you the way a cigarette does? Because your body never stopped preparing for the ancient version of alone. Cortisol stays elevated. Inflammation rises. Sleep gets fragmented because part of your nervous system believes it needs to stay alert, watching for threats that, in the modern world, never come. The alarm doesn't know the lion is gone. It just knows no one is standing watch. Here's where the story bends again. If loneliness is just an alarm, then the goal was never to silence it completely. Alarms exist for a reason. Thirst makes you drink. Pain makes you pull your hand back. Loneliness makes you reach out. The problem isn't that the feeling exists. The problem is what happens when you ignore it for too long, or worse, when you try to satisfy it with the wrong fuel. Scrolling through other people's lives doesn't satisfy the alarm. It often makes it louder. You're feeding your brain images of connection, parties, laughter, group photos, without giving it the thing it actually evolved to detect. A real bond, with real stakes, with someone who would notice your absence. So what does the alarm actually want? Not hundreds of contacts, not a bigger network. Dunbar's research suggests your brain is built for a small number of deep ties, not a large number of shallow ones. A handful of people who would show up. That's closer to what your ancestors had, and it's closer to what your nervous system is still, quietly, searching for. There's something almost comforting in that. The ache you feel scrolling alone at midnight isn't a flaw. It isn't weakness. It's 200,000 years of survival instinct, still running, still trying to protect you the only way it knows how. Your brain isn't broken. It's just old. Built for a savanna, operating in a city. And maybe that changes how the feeling lands the next time it shows up. Not as proof that something is wrong with you, but as a signal, the same as thirst, the same as hunger, telling you to do something your ancestors did every single day without thinking twice. Turn toward another person. Because somewhere behind that tightness in your chest is the same alarm that kept a small band of humans alive long enough to become every person who has ever lived since. It isn't trying to hurt you. It's trying to bring you home. Tonight, you'll check your phone one more time before bed. This time, maybe you'll understand exactly why.